right, welcome back to another episode of D2D Success Stories. Here today with Blake Erickson. Welcome, man.
Thanks, bro. Pumped to be here with you.
Yeah. So, Blake, I'll intro you a little bit. So, in a past life, I guess. Well, how long you been out? A year?
No, what's it been? It's a couple months.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fresh.
Yeah. Recently departed regional at Hawx. Doing 10 million your last year over there. Hundreds of reps.
Yeah.
100 reps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet, dude. And then currently got something new and exciting going on. One of the founders of scaling.com, which we'll talk about. So with that as kind of the intro, let's just go back to the beginning, man. So tell us a little bit about growing up, where you're from, all that type of stuff.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, brother.
Yeah.
From Gilbert, Arizona.
Okay.
I'm one of 7 kids. So funny enough, we're 6 boys. Last one was a girl. My parents were just kept them pumping until they got a girl.
Trying. Yeah.
And played football growing up, which was cool because 5'9", white, slow, no hops, typical. But it taught me so much about work ethic, passion. Like I was more in love with the game than anybody else.
What'd you play?
Played slot receiver.
Dude, that's funny because we just had I don't know if you know him, we had Zach Kinzel on like a month ago.
Oh, cool.
And he was talking about being slot receiver and the same thing. He was like, yeah, I wasn't the best, but I just had to be crafty.
I
was like, yeah, man, 100%.
So I just had to be scrappy, man. And I learned the value of work ethic, and I just fell in love with kind of the process of becoming and growing.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was just high school was just all about girls and football, man.
Yeah.
When I was a freshman, the church, I'm a part of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, announced that they were changing the mission age from 19 to 18.
Okay.
And I had a couple buddies. For some reason, these varsity football players took me in I became like really close friends with them. I'm a freshman, they're a senior. They're way cooler than me. I don't even know why they brought me in.
In high school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were like my best friends. And what happened was when the age change shifted, they started preparing for missions. And so I got to see kind of this maturity evolve and happen. And then I saw them go on their missions, come back. And I was like, man, that was so cool to see the before and after.
Yeah.
And I share that because after football was done, it went into like mission prep mode for me.
Yeah.
And I just want to be the greatest missionary ever, man.
Yeah.
And so I went on mission, serving Lima, Peru.
For real? Where to? Which one?
Lima East.
I went to South.
No way.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What were your areas? I'm sure it shifted drastically over the years.
Yeah. I was actually there when Lima, because were you in just the city?
So I was La Molina up until like Chosica.
Yeah. I don't know where Chosica is. But I mean, did you have mountains in your?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just asked because I think they split Lima East while I was there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It went a lot further into the mountains, and then they split it.
Yeah, and now Lima East is 3 missions.
Yeah, go figure.
Wow.
But yeah, man, I was in San Juan de Murta, Florida. That's in Lima. Yeah. I was in Villa El Salvador.
Yeah.
Way down south. That's all I had in Lima, and then I went down the coast. I went to Ica, Pisco, Nazca, and I went to Ayacucho.
How cool. Yeah. Ayacucho. Yeah. That's wild, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to talk more. But I guess the reason why I bring that up is because my mission was the start for everything in my life.
Yeah.
Just monumental as far as fell in love with people. Fell in love with leading.
Yeah.
Fell in love with Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And had some amazing experiences that altered me and changed me, but also I learned how to have success.
Right.
And for the first 8 months of my mission, I was the least successful missionary that's ever served a mission probably.
Okay.
And had some amazing experiences and learned some things. In the last 14 months of my mission, we had extraordinary success, and we baptized every week for the last 14 months. And I say that because I was able to see growth. I was able to see what worked, what didn't work. And those same principles of faith and success I've tried to apply since being home. And
let's talk about a few, man. Let's talk about a few. And
yeah.
I mean, I want to acknowledge the spiritual element too, because it's amazing. But yeah, you learn a lot of I'm not going to say they're not spiritual principles. They're probably that too, but they definitely also apply
Yeah.
thereafter in life, business, whatever. So like, yeah, give us a couple things you learned.
Yeah. So here's a cool one. My mission president, I had 2 mission presidents. I had a mission president come in when I had about 8 to 10 months in my mission.
Yeah. And if you're listening and you're not, like
Yeah.
a LDS person who went on a mission, that is the older gentleman who is in charge of your mission.
Yeah. He's like the boss.
The boss. Yeah. Who teaches you everything.
So we were baptizing, and when I say baptizing, it's kind of like the key indicator of success, you could say.
Yeah.
50 people a month.
Okay.
My mission president came in and said, man, we could do 250 a month. Everybody was shocked. Everybody was almost upset because they're like, dude, we're doing our absolute best, and this is what we're getting.
Yeah.
And I just remember being stoked out of my mind. And so we start working towards that goal. And 6 months went by, and we baptized 250 people. And so what I learned there is when you have a massive vision, and when you're a leader that can back the vision, and everything is directed towards that vision, you can go make amazing things happen. Mm-hmm. And Adam Grant once said he found evidence that those that dream bigger go on to achieve bigger things. Mm-hmm. And that was that first experience in my life where it was like, dude, if you just put big things out there, if you just go for bigger goals and you start working towards it, it just begins to happen. Mm-hmm. And so that was monumental for me, because since then I've just tried to do everything big in my life.
I was thinking about this the other day. I know so many people who they may say they'll have a goal, but they won't tell anybody it. It's like they're hedging their embarrassment for if they don't hit it. And I don't know. I don't think you're actually that committed. Yeah,
not a goal.
Not that committed, man.
I was thinking about this today. So there's almost like 2 sides of the coin of a goal. So there's a goal where with your lips and your voice you say, "This is my goal." Uh-huh. And then the other side of the goal is, this is my goal, and then I filter everything through that goal. So for example, if your business is going to do $150 million of revenue, you're now filtering from, hey, is this going to get us to 150? Are these people going to get us to 150? Is this decision, action, behavior, intention going to get us to 150? And I think that's actually where a lot of people are wrong is, number one, they either don't voice it, or number two, they're not operating from that goal. It's just more of a phantom goal.
Yeah. I love that. Were there any like special inputs that y'all changed to get it up? Higher contact
absolutely.
rate, or?
Yeah, I'd say there's like 2 or 3 key ones. So one was people would go in and they'd teach lessons for an hour and just share everything they possibly could. We condensed everything down to 15 minutes and just said, hey, take out all the noise and only teach the things that are truly going to serve them. Uh-huh. So that moved the needle a lot in as far as their experience with the message. Uh-huh. Second, we started out by teaching everybody. And we soon realized that there's only specific people, or what we call elect, that are actually ready for the message. And so when we were finding and when we were teaching, we were only finding people that were ready and prepared, and we were only teaching people that were already prepared. Therefore, the time that we were spending was now only focused on what we could call buyers, versus before we were trying to teach, find, convert everybody. Mm-hmm. And so our time became maximized by 100 times. Yeah.
Tons more efficiency.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Cool, man.
Thanks, man.
Mission, big turn. Well, I mean, it's not like you were some loser kid or something. I was about to say turning point.
Upgrade.
Yeah. Big upgrade. Whole bunch of learning. You get home. When is this, by the way?
So this is 2018 now. Uh-huh. So I get home. My mission president, once again, the boss, he's a stud. He's 39, serial entrepreneur. And so he tells me when I go home, he says, Blake, what do you want to do? We kind of have this extra interview, as you know. Yeah. Every missionary, when they leave, they're like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know. I just want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Like how do I just keep serving? Because I'm feeling so amazing.
Yeah.
And he said, this is what you need to do if you want to keep serving. You need to go home. you need to make a ton of money.
Yeah.
And then number 2, you need to go learn sales. And I'm like, that is not what I expected to hear.
Yeah.
And he said, the sooner you can go make a ton of money and create a lot of wealth, the sooner you can go give as much as you possibly can of your time, talents, and resources to others.
Makes sense. Because again, if you're listening and you don't understand the context here, to do this mission president thing, you I'm not going to say you need to be retired. You either need to be retired or you need to be able to leave your job for 3 years and have it not be a big deal.
Usually pretty financially stable.
Yeah. So he's giving you his formula.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was good for me, dude, because I was like, money's evil.
Yeah.
And like, how do I just go serve? And he's like, you can have both. So I felt like I got permission where it's like, go home, make a ton of money, and go like give in the best way you possibly can. I was like, great. And I'm like, how do I do that? He's like, entrepreneurship. How do you go be an amazing entrepreneur? Go learn sales.
There you go.
So I was like, all right. So came home, worked at a tech startup for 1.5 years, selling software. Mm-hmm. Amazing experience. Being a part of a startup was awesome. Ups and downs. Ultimately, that startup got acquired. And I don't even know if it was a success story at the end of the day, but it was awesome.
Yeah. End of the chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at this same time, my buddies are coming back buying cars, buying real estate, and just have all this freedom from selling door to door.
Yeah.
And I just was so against it because I wanted to find my own path. I didn't want to go the common traditional path.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know if you ever felt that.
All the time. Yeah.
But once I saw their success and I saw the evidence, I was like, man, I'm here making $15.50 an hour, and these guys are just cranking in the summer times.
Right.
So that was kind of ultimately my doorway into door-to-door at that point.
Yeah. So you came home. Did you start going to school or did you just work?
Good question.
Yeah.
So my parents, specifically my dad, is like the greatest school advocate of all time.
Uh-huh.
And I'd never have been great at school.
Uh-huh.
Obviously that's by choice. But I applied to UVU because I know that's what they kind of wanted at the time. But when I entered, it was always the thought, I have to go create something so I can get out of here.
Right.
I can't leave without, like, people quit school, but they have nothing to quit for.
Right.
And by the way, those that love to go in school, amazing. Just for me, want to be an entrepreneur, wasn't in the cards.
Yeah.
So my goal was always, I got to go create something that allows me to get out of this.
Right. Okay. So you're going to school while you're doing the tech thing.
Yeah.
1.5 years. And yeah. So talk about getting recruited the first time. Like, I mean, I suppose they tried to recruit you before.
Yeah, for sure.
And you'd said no.
I did all the lunches.
Yeah. Nice. So when you finally do decide, like, maybe I should look at this, did you kind of know who you wanted to go with already? Maybe the closer friends or whatever? Or did you shop it hard?
Shopped it hard just purely because I wanted as much leverage in the negotiation as possible.
Oh, nice.
But at the end of the day, I always knew I was going to go with my friends.
Yeah.
I think there is nothing more fun than just working with extraordinary people.
Right.
And that was the biggest selling point for me. But I wanted to make sure that I could get the financially best situation for myself as well.
Yeah. That's pretty savvy. I mean, I suppose you'd been working a real job for 1.5 years already, so that's pretty savvy. The first time I got into door-to-door, I was not savvy. It's like
they just said, here it is.
Yeah, they could have offered me 12% and I would have signed. Okay, cool. And so talk about that. You go out the first summer. This is with Aptiv.
Yeah, so I end up signing with Aptiv, which was an extraordinary experience, truthfully. Mm-hmm. It's 2020. I signed January 24th.
Okay.
And the day I signed, I quit my job.
Nice.
Dropped out of school, and I had $3,000 in my bank account from a commission that I'd made in my job. So I was like, cool, I got to make this last until, when do we go out? End of April. And what I do for the entire time that I was either working or going to school, I just swapped it out with training. So whether it was YouTube videos, podcasts, books, role plays, anything that I could practice my pitch on, I did.
It's good. So this is springtime or?
Yeah, so this spring, 2020. Yeah. And so I'm cranking 12 hours of training a day. I'm just obsessed, so stoked. I'm all in.
It's awesome.
And flash forward end of February, we get a call. And they say this thing called COVID-19 has broken out.
Yeah.
And we do not know if there's going to be a summer. And I'm like, I think $900 left in the account, nothing to fall back on. And I'm like, wow, well, prayers up that this thing still happens.
Yeah.
A couple weeks later, they said, fortunately, we're going to do like a beta test group and go see if we can sell, go see if the state's going to be okay with it, and kind of everything was up in the air. And so I got to be part of that beta group, which I was stoked about. Mm-hmm. So I went to Arizona. First day knocking, I didn't even have any company swag. So I'm in a PacSun shirt. I remember it was gray. It was like a drop cut.
Yeah.
And I think I was just in joggers. And then this new iPad I just got.
Nice.
And start knocking doors. Expectations are here.
Right.
And I end up getting a deal in 30 minutes. And I just fumbled through the sale. You know how it goes. Called the manager. Basically just helps me get the deal. And then I go a 7-hour stint of no sales. Mm-hmm. Once again, I've been training like crazy. My expectations are here, and I'm nearing the end of the night. And I remember I knock on his door specifically. It's this corner house. I can remember it. Knock on the door. This guy opens, sees me, and just slams it. I'm a grown man. I'm 21 years old.
Yeah, I know where this is going.
And I remember tears.
Yeah,
just starting to sting, bro.
Yeah,
and I got the frog in my throat.
Yeah.
And all the thoughts came, man. Do I quit? Why the heck did I do this? This is crazy. Da, 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 da. And I remember in between that door and the next, I just said, I can't even quit if I wanted to.
Yeah.
I've got no money. I've got no job, and I've got no school. I've told everybody I was going to do this. My boats are completely burned. My back is literally against the wall. And here's the point that I want to prove there is, if you want to go have a successful summer, the greatest thing you could do prior to the summer is get your back up against the wall. Because I've seen way too many times reps that come out, it's like they have a plan B or a plan C, or their parents will bail them out at any time. Very difficult to go succeed in the summer.
Right. Yeah.
So keep cranking. End up my last door of the night, this girl named Sarah just freaking gives me the deal. Remember just giving her a hug, dude, just choking up, bro. And that's when the door-to-door career started, man. I just started taking off every day after that.
Nice. So that little blitz goes great.
Yeah.
You guys go out for the summer. Was that where you were going for the summer too?
No. So I did a little Arizona stint. Everyone's at their houses, by the way. We had to if you guys remember, for those that are in Utah, they made you kind of evacuate or go home.
Right.
So Arizona's my home. So I just knocked there for the next month or so.
Ah.
And I'd go out and just go grab 4 or 5 deals and go back home. And it was just awesome.
Oh, so you were just doing this by yourself?
Yeah. A little preseason, complete by myself. No shadowing, no training, just figuring it out, dude.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's cool. That's a good story.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's a good story. And then the summer though, where'd you guys go?
So we went to San Fran, California.
Okay.
Bay Area.
Oh, if there was a place that was going to maybe be still crappy during COVID, maybe, that would be it. But
most other states, you had to stay 6 feet away from the door. I think in the Bay Area, you had to stay about 20. So
yeah,
it was wild.
Nice. How'd it turn out?
Amazing. I was one of the top rookies in the company that summer. And what was amazing about it was the people I met on the doors impacted my life a ton. Mm-hmm. And then the group I went out with just became family to me, man. Yeah. Some of them I didn't even know, and they became groomsmen at my wedding. Just the uncomfort and the highs and lows you go through together. It was just special, man. And then
because you went on your mission at 18.
Yep.
Got back at 20. So you're 21, closing in on 22 when you do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just changed my life, dude. I mean, everything the doors teach you.
Yeah.
How to gain trust, how to be likable, how to observe someone, how to really communicate, how to ask the right questions. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I got a PhD in communication in just four months. Mm-hmm. And so when I went home, I just was on fire. man, I need everybody to do this.
Would you sell 400 accounts?
Yeah, I did service 470, sold 530 or something.
Big time.
That was fun.
Yeah. And you were committed to door-to-door kind of as a career before the summer even started.
Yeah.
Usually I ask people like
unknowingly.
Usually I ask people like, did that summer sell you on door-to-door? But I guess I don't even have to ask that because you kind of were pre-sold. So you get home and want to go recruit a team, or how's that go?
So my goal was always like making $100,000 was really cool. My goal was always trying to figure out how do I go make 500, 700, $1 million.
Yep.
And I knew personal sales wasn't it.
Yeah.
So I tried to approach door-to-door kind of from like a more business standpoint rather than a salesman standpoint.
Yeah.
And so I knew recruiting was the game. So came home, had a couple buddies I partnered or recruited, and we kind of all teamed up. And we recruited 60 people, 40 came out for the summer. 38 of them were rookies. 2 of those, so the other 2 that weren't rookies had sold for like 2 months.
Yeah, I was about to say, before you even tell the rest, this sounds chaotic.
Yeah. And I'm just confident, bro. Just expecting it to go amazing. And to be honest, it does.
Oh, nice.
And we went out there and crushed it, had an amazing experience.
You and 2 other buddies were kind of it was a trio, or?
Yeah, well, so there's a buddy or my brother that sold for 6 weeks that summer who came out right after his mission. He was with me. Yeah. Amazing. And then another buddy that sold for 2.5 months that came out as well. So best friend and brother. And then through us 3, we kind of all recruited all those people.
If there's 3 of you who can really go train, I could see it. I always think about the numbers of like people who need help and people that are helpers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't recommend it. I think a good rule of thumb is, if you can, obviously, a 2-to-1 ratio or 3-to-1 ratio for vet versus rookies is best for a good team.
With y'all's like level of commitment though, did you have a good preseason, a lot of training, that type of stuff?
Yeah, we trained like crazy.
Well, that probably helps.
Yeah, we trained like crazy.
Cool. Okay, but it goes well.
It went well, and then came back and we just said, let's do it again, and kind of just carried that momentum ever since.
Yeah. Where did y'all go that second summer?
Bay Area again.
Nice. And give us some stats. You sell a bunch more that year?
Good question, dude. So our team did $2.4 million in rev, quadrupled my income year 1 to year 2. And yeah, just had, I think, 35 of the 40 stuck it out.
Nice.
I think we re-signed probably 32 of them. And those guys ultimately came back and grew, and the next summer turned into 130 guys.
Yeah. If you re-sign 32 people, it's going parabolic after that.
Yeah, it was special. So just blessed with really amazing guys. And so grew to 130, was a regional my 3rd summer. So I had no idea what I was doing, but I thought I did. Mm-hmm. We went out and produced well. Obviously you always look back and there's so much more that could have been done. We were in California, Ohio, spread between a couple different markets. And then the next year recruited my 4th summer. Here's a good learning. I think we recruited 400 people 3rd summer. I think 200 came out. And then we probably finished with like 120. And so I don't like those stats personally.
Right.
We were just playing this volume game, just like funneling everybody in. Not a lot of standards.
Yeah, the 200 and the 120 doesn't sound awful.
Yeah,
the 400 and the 200 is kind of gnarly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And so I mean, at the end of the day, the metric that really matters is how many reps come back.
Right.
And that is by how many reps finish the summer, how many reps start the summer, how many reps sign, et cetera.
Yeah.
Because I just never wanted to be in this phase of rebuilding. I just always wanted, like, if 120 finish, 100 of those got to come. The next year, 200 finish, they got to come back. So ultimately, from year 3 to year 4, it was from 4 to 5, it was how do we not replicate this? How do we make sure that what happened last year doesn't happen again this year?
Yeah.
And so we shifted our vision dramatically from, hey, let's just recruit like crazy, to, hey, let's be like the most selective, picky people as possible. We go out with, I think we go out with 120, finish with 105, and we did more revenue than we did the previous year.
Go figure.
And so my belief has just shifted a lot, and there's a lot of experiences and thoughts in there. But
yeah, that's huge. Let's talk about the retention though, because I mean you were good at that right from the beginning with that second summer team. I mean, what do you think contributed to that?
Door to door, man. I've come to the conclusion that's 95% leadership.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a me thing, but if you are a leader that takes care of your guys and they feel it and they just feel that you love them and you push them to excellence and you hold them to a high standard and you create amazing culture and you're willing to just be in the trenches with them, majority of the time they are going to stay. Where most people would love your take. Where most people have issues in this industry is there's a leader. They feel like all they care about is the money that they're making on them. They're not really interested in anything in their personal life. And they feel like they're kind of like only keeping them accountable to whatever their numbers are. And so my approach was just always, how can I just care about this person more than anyone's ever going to care about them? And the byproduct of that is they just go perform at a super high level. So that was kind of always my thought and belief.
I'm with it. I something I deal with.
Therapy sesh. Let's go.
Yeah, well, something I deal with in my circles, I guess. In the window biz, there's a lot of hippie stuff going around where they talk a lot like what you just said. Like they're kind of pretending to be that.
Yeah.
But the flavor that comes with it is, and we're bad at sales. So it's almost like they wouldn't say it this way, but it's almost presented as like a either or, like you're either good or you care about their personal life. What do you think?
Horrible.
Yeah.
Your love and like care for them should be driven for their results.
Yeah.
I will be under leading you and under serving you majorly if I only care for you, but that doesn't extend to helping you make money, you growing, you developing, you becoming an amazing leader, you growing your biz.
I love you too much to see you waste your potential.
100%.
Right.
And that's when like the no's come in. That's when you really come down on people. That's when it's like, hey, you're not performing. I need you to step up.
Yeah.
That's what love is.
Yeah, I'm big on it. Man. Nick Saban was like one of the most hard-ass football coaches ever.
Yeah.
I think he loved his players, man. Big time.
100%.
You hear him talk in the interviews about this kid was going to get thrown off the team and we saved him and now he's a father of 4 with a charity foundation or whatever. I love that stuff. And, he was hard on people.
Example.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Glad we aired that
There's
one out.
There's a good Saban interview if anyone's seen Henry Ruggs, I believe.
Yes.
When he was going 147 miles an hour.
He needed somebody to be a friend that night.
And Nick Saban the next day, like almost in tears, he's like, he's an amazing person.
Yeah.
Good kid. I just wish he had a teammate that was willing to love him enough to tell him not to get in the car.
Yep. Yeah, the friends who let him get in the car, are they really that good of friends?
No, they don't love him.
Right. It's deep. And you have to love those people enough to be willing to have them mad at you. You know what I mean? You have to be willing to at least temporarily play the villain.
For sure, dude.
Which is a tough one
sure.
for some leaders to swallow.
Specifically in door to door.
Right.
Door to door is the most unique environment because it's this balance of how do I hold people to a standard, but if they ever get mad at me, they just can go leave to some other company.
Right.
And so that's always this fear-driven mindset by leaders where it's like, I don't want to offend them too much because then they might go to our competitor. It's like, man, just love them enough to push them to excellence, and they'll be grateful that you did.
Yeah. How do you counteract that specifically? Just get enough success stories that people can kind of like see the life cycle of it, or something I do is I'll just tell them the whole lay of the land. I'll just be like, hey, I'm going to be hard on you because XYZ.
Yeah.
Now, if you were being emotional, you might say, maybe I should go to this other company. But because I know that you are intelligent and and want to be successful, I know that you're going to know I'm doing this for your good, and I'll just air out all the points myself for them right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they obviously trust you.
Yeah.
Trust has to be there.
Trust, yeah.
Trust has to be there. The other thought I'm thinking is we oftentimes, it'd be good for all of us to evaluate how much of our life do we spend in scarcity versus how much of our life do we spend in abundance. Because an abundant leader is not worried about someone going to another company.
Right.
And scarce leaders are, and typically scarce leaders have more people go to other companies because that's what they think about, that's where their fears are, that's what their behaviors align with.
Yeah. Just don't worry about it. Let them go. Yep, I like it. So let's talk about the regional thing, because you get this crash course at some leadership stuff running the team that second summer, and then regional's an entirely different flavor. Talk about the third summer, I guess.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
I mean, you sell with one team mostly. You have like a home office of sorts.
That summer, I actually just floated between team to team, so I didn't have a specific team.
Pretty
I
much
think we had
equally?
7 teams.
Close to it.
Yeah, as much as I could.
Yeah.
But I made a ton of mistakes that summer.
Yeah.
I learned that it's this interesting balance of sometimes people just want you to be there.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? They just want to hear from you.
Yeah.
And they want you to show up. And I learned that there's kind of, even if it's maybe not the most productive, part of your job sometimes just has to be there to be there for them.
Right.
Whether it's in person, whether it's live, whether it's a text or call. And so that was kind of a wake-up call for me, because I was like, how am I going to be most productive with my time? And sometimes it's not the most productive, but the most productive thing you could do is just be there with your people.
Yeah, because when you're traveling around, you come in from out of town, you've been watching their numbers from afar, you know that something is awry. So you're like, all right, what specific thing am I going to go teach them that's going to have the most leverage?
Right.
And then as you fly away the next week or whatever, like, what did I teach these guys? I don't know. I don't know what I taught them. I mostly showed up and was here and showed solidarity, I guess.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Other times I guess you do teach something specific, but yeah, man. So talk about like maintaining your org that whole time, keeping the loyalty of the guy. Because like you said, there's all this switching between companies. You switched once, right?
Between summer 2 and 3.
Yeah. Talk about that. How'd you make that decision?
Yeah, good question. Two things. Dave Allred once said to me, who you do business with is who you do life with.
Uh-huh.
I'm a big people person. And so I looked at my current environment, my past environment, and I said, man, are these people I want to do life with?
Uh-huh.
Or are these people like I really want to be like? And the answer that period of my life was no. And at the company that I switched to, I felt like it was more aligned there. And those are people I wanted to do life with and be like.
It was a personal affinity thing. Yeah.
And then additionally, the company that I was with was in this time period. I don't know if you remember this, but a lot of their company was going to solar. They were creating a solar entity. They had a deal that they were supposed to exit that didn't pan out.
You're taking big L's back then, man.
Yeah. So it was like one after another. And so I was like, my goal back then was I want to go have 1,000 people, 2,000 people. I want to go grow this thing massive.
Uh-huh.
And the writing on the wall was showing me that's my vision probably doesn't fit within that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you need to be in something with some runway, something somewhat early stage, something in an uptrend.
You got it.
Yeah. So you've got a 3, 4, 5 year plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so those were the two things that kind of influenced my switch. And both companies have been exceptional to me and were amazing. I've been through the lawsuit stuff and went through the whole ordeal, dude.
Yeah.
And those are never fun. So
any I hate to ask, but I also
right.
want to ask.
Yeah, go for
it. Anything you want to say about that?
Nothing, man. I think door-to-door can be a really dishonest industry.
Yes.
You have experiences probably, and I have experiences where people take money and leave and never pay it back or da-da-da-da-da. And so when I left, I just want to be really intentional about, hey, any money that wasn't necessary or quote unquote mine, I gave back. I wrote multiple checks. I was upfront, transparent, laid it all out to them, and knew that I was breaking a contractual agreement at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that I knew I was doing, and I want to be the most ethical about it as possible. Mm-hmm. And I knew that there were repercussions. I had to be willing to sign up for those repercussions.
Yeah.
Which I was at the point where I was willing to take those on. Yeah. And, it was a year and a half of energy, time, worry, money. And I would never recommend people to sign up for that, but it panned out great, and it turned into it was the right decision for us. Yeah.
It is what it is. Did you guys settle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Settle. Yep. There's a lot of angles to that whole thing.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I appreciate you speaking to it at all. I have so many and I appreciate every podcast guest I've ever had, but who dance so much. I'm like, let's dance just a little. Just a little.
No, I'm happy to.
Yeah. So as you begin building at the new place at Hawx, how many regions were there? Like how big is the company during this point in time?
So this is when Hawx really just had a map. They had this investor come in, billionaire, and he just is like, let's blow this thing up. Yeah. So I caught the very beginning phase of that. And so I think that summer Hawx had 1,000 reps.
Are they? I mean, I'm sure they're recruiting a ton of new people, but they're acquiring a lot of people as well.
Yeah. It was a balance of both.
Yeah.
I think the year before they probably had 150 reps. So
wow, 150 to 1,000.
Yeah, it was a very impressive growth year over year.
Did that create a little bit of chaos? Mixing of cultures and things like that.
Yeah, it was a melting pot. We had people from Moxie, people from Aptiv, people from marketing companies, people from Edge, Solar, Vivint, you name it.
What'd you learn? I love the messy stories because you learn the best stuff that way.
Yeah, man.
Sometime soon I want to bring on some people from the whole Lumio thing. We don't have to talk about that, but
I think the learning was this. I think collaboration over competition will always win. Okay. It's very easy to come in door to door ego. I'm better than you. I have more guys than you, whatever. Like even with a melting pot or even within your own internal. I've been at a company, that first company I was at, even though we're all one company, every single person was competing with the person next to them. Yeah. And there's some benefits to that. Yeah. But also, it's much more fun to be in an environment where everyone's rooting for each other. Right. So that was number one. And the second one was just management of expectations. It's super easy when you're growing and everything's going so well. Mm-hmm. People are coming in like, dude, I had people hitting me up all the time versus like vice versa, me reaching out to them. So it's really easy when you're growing to just funnel them in, put a place into them, and just keep going. Yeah. It's crucial to stop, slow down, and make sure every single person gets their expectations perfectly managed. Yeah. Because you want to play a long game. And when people's expectations are very well managed, coming from different cultures, different environments, different companies, which everything's new at every company, it's going to be much easier to sustain a healthy relationship in the long run.
Well, you have to think 2-3 moves ahead for that type of stuff. It's like like one I deal with is like, as we grow, sometimes we create a new position. We create a regional position. At some point, there will be 6 or 8 regionals. There will be some VP position. It's like I have to think 2 to 3 moves down the road of how they're each getting paid, so that
100%.
the company is still solvent after we pay all those positions. If I hand out all of the margin to the current hierarchy as currently constituted, then what do I do then?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But as you're onboarding people, so I mean, are you guys, there's probably some amount of like, oh, we'll bring on your division, this guy's region, all these other things. And then it's like, okay, well, if he's that, how can this guy also be that? And then we also told this kid he's not going to be that at first, but there is a path. But then wait a minute, that dude's already in that position.
Yeah.
You have to play 4D chess with that a little bit.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a level of proactivity and asking yourself, how can this go wrong?
Yeah. Yeah, you mess up a few times.
I was pretty proactive.
Yeah.
I was pretty forward thinking. I didn't have anything massive that I can think of that I could share.
I went on a podcast the other day. We were having this talk about following through on what you said you were going to do and keeping your word and all that type of stuff. And I kind of went off on this tangent about the easiest way to do what you say you're going to do is not say you're going to do stupid things.
Beautiful.
You know what I mean? It's
Beautifully said.
Yeah, and when you're a leader, you have people come ask you, they'll ask you something. They'll whisper in your ear while you're talking to somebody else. And they'll be like, so that's okay, right? And you're like, wait a second, hold on. I'm not committing to anything until I listen to that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I've seen so many promises broken because I'm just like, well, of course you broke that promise, man.
Yeah.
Nobody can promise that,
Yeah. Avoiding saying yes is a very, very key takeaway if you're listening.
Yeah.
Say yes to only the right things.
Yeah. Or say, I mean, especially with like little like things that people down the chain ask me these days, I don't commit to almost anything the first time somebody asks me. I'll say, I think so. I think, sounds okay, but let's sit on it for a minute. Let me talk to Kyle, see what he said. Whatever.
That's what years in door-to-door does to you.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of the, I forget who said this, but basically like as a decision-making principle, don't make decisions before the last moment that you can make them. It's like why foreclose certain avenues earlier than needed?
Yeah, that's good.
It's like I don't have to make that decision right now. We don't even have to talk about the future.
Yeah, that's a good nugget.
That one can be decided tomorrow. So, and talk about because recently you've exited the game, got this new thing going on, scaling.com. Let's talk about that. Talk about why you wanted to, and then we'll talk about the company.
Door-to-door is the greatest experience up to this point, career-wise, I've ever had. And I've looked everywhere else for better opportunities. I couldn't find one for my phase of life and age that I was in.
Uh-huh.
So it is like I've got just an amazing testimony of how much I developed and grew in every sense through door-to-door. The game plan for me was to never be in it long term. I wanted to maximize it to the highest potential possible and extract as much as possible. But after 5 years into it, the learning was, I was always learning, of course, but it was much more minimal than it was my second or third year. And so recruiting, training, managing, amazing experiences. But I was ready to a point where I was like, man, I just want to go learn like at a really high velocity.
Yeah.
And it kind of slowed down and stagnated for me.
Kind of had like diminishing returns on your learning after a certain point.
Yeah. And I felt like my organization was at an amazing point where I could have honestly kind of coasted.
Yeah.
And been pretty stagnant. It would have been awesome. And so I just realized, man, I can't coast. I got to go play a much bigger game. And I got to go relearn. I got to go get new development. And so ultimately that was, okay, how do I just play bigger? And it was a transition to starting my own thing with some amazing partners and figuring out to do it in a way of something that I'm super passionate about and love, which is serving entrepreneurs, helping them grow, helping see their businesses grow, and seeing the reward of that. Something I've been passionate about. And I just said, man, I want to do business with people I love. I want to serve people that I would just have so much impact on. And then I'd also love to solve a big problem, which I think is stagnancy.
Okay. So scaling.com. Talk about what y'all do.
So it's ultimately turned into scaling.com. We train entrepreneurs. We're a training company. We train entrepreneurs to rapidly scale their business. And in 3 years or less, we want to turn their business 10x from what it currently is.
Nice. And obviously you guys will have to reach out to Blake to get too much of the sauce, but any kind of summary of, kind of y'all's playbook at like a high level, I guess.
So my business partner and I, Benjamin Hardy, we're writing a book called The Science of Scaling. Really simple formula. It's 3 things. We believe that shifting your frame, creating a bigger future, so going for bigger goals, which I talked about earlier, is kind of like the first step to really scaling. Second, it's raising your floor, which is starting to say no to everything that doesn't align with what you're going for. Yep. We've found that many businesses are always optimizing, doing things that probably majority of it is noise. Yeah. And shouldn't even exist at all. Right. And so we help people really identify what are the key activities, what's the 20% that's really going to bring the majority of the results, and eliminating the other 80. And then operating from your goal, what are the best pathways, partners for you to get there, and how to. I believe that everyone's one person away from changing their life or just having a quantum leap. And so the book drops July 29th, and you guys can dive a little bit deeper into. And say the title one more time. The Science of Scaling. Love it. Science of Scaling, July 29th. That's right. Scaling.com. That's right. All right. So if the listeners want to catch up with you, where can they find you? Instagram, the Blake Erickson. Would love to connect. Okay, and that's Erickson with a C and a K. CK, yeah. SSON. Yeah, you got it. My dog. Well, sweet, man. And thanks, you're a stud, bro. Thanks for having me on. This Absolutely. Is awesome. I've been looking at your biceps the whole time. Good grief, bro. Appreciate it. Yeah, man. All right, bro. Thanks again. Brother. Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of D2D Success Stories. We've got new episodes dropping every Tuesday on all the major platforms.